Hey guys, this is Panda here, and this is something that gets discussed a lot in my Discord, and I thought I'd make a video about it. It's how I would buff Amber, because we have a very dedicated Amber fan in my Discord, and most of us that play Genshin Impact in my Discord kind of agree that she's not that much of a great character, um, and none of us really use her. But our dedicated Amber fan here always is advocating for Amber buffs. But the thing is, how would you buff Amber? Because I honestly don't think the problem is her damage numbers. Because, I mean, I'm sure you could just Google or YouTube some video where Amber is doing insane 100k crit damage or whatever, or she's insta-downing bosses with her alt and some charge shots or whatever. Like, I'm sure you could find that. Um, but where do her problems like really come from? And I thought I'd talk about some of them. So the first thing I would do to buff Amber is her constellations. In fact, that's where most of the buff should go to, in my opinion. First of all, getting them. It is so hard to just get an Amber constellation. It's not always going to be in the Star Glitter store, of course, every month. Um, I've been playing since launch, and I've done as many pulls. I'm not a whale, but I've done as many pulls as I've gotten from all the free gems and the free wishes from the battle pass and stuff. And I only have one constellation with Amber. She is never on a limited banner as a 4-star character. Neither is Kea or Lisa. Any of the story characters, basically, except Traveler, who gets her constellations for free. That being said, um, all right. So for Constellation One, we have let's see, fires 2 arrows per aim shot. The second one deals 20% of the first arrow's damage. That's kind of ouch because um, let's say you do your aim shot does 10k on a crit, right? So that second arrow will only do 2k damage. But it kind of gets mitigated a little bit because of a talent she has called Precise Shot, which increases her attack by 15% for 10 seconds. So that when that first arrow hits, assuming it hits a weak spot, that second arrow will deal slightly more damage. Just slightly though. Um, but when you compare that to Ganyu's charged attack, which by the way is a talent and not a constellation, so you can upgrade this. Frost Flake does 218% damage, and this is only at level 9. So that's why a lot of times when you see a Ganyu, if you've ever seen like a streamer or played Ganyu yourself, her second arrow will always deal way more damage than the first, usually, especially if it crits. Like that's why her first shot will deal something like 7 or 8k damage, and then the second one does like 20 or 30k damage on crit or whatever, something like that. So that's the first thing I noticed about that constellation. But a way to buff this to make her still interesting, other than the obvious just do more damage forehead, is that her arrows, her charged arrows, should generate energy particles. I think that'd be a great way to make this a little bit more interesting. Um, and she could be casting her alt more often, which by the way has a really low cost as well. It only has a cost of 40 compared to other 5 stars with a cost of like 80 for their elemental bursts. Um, her next constellation that I would also want to like have a look at is Bunny triggered. And when Baron Bunny, when you shoot a fully charged shot at the foot, it detonates. And it deals 200% additional damage. I find it weird that they have this weird criteria where it has to be the foot. A fully charged shot for on the bunny's foot, by the way, which is really strange to me. I don't understand why it's just not the whole bunny. Um, but I guess it's not too much of a big deal because when we throw the bunny out and you do your fully charged shot, her AoE shot is a blast anyways, so you're gonna hit it. I don't have the constellation obviously, so I can't do it. But It's not too hard to aim, but I could see that being problematic when you're in more of a hectic situation like Spiral Abyss, or you're fighting a boss where it's not really, you know, you're bound to miss due to maybe getting stun locked by enemies or something. But I just find that's a weird requirement. Probably just shoot the bunny, right? That'd be much better. And then my question for explosion damage lies here, because I don't know if this scales off Amber's attack or Amber's, like if I get a goblet with increased pyro damage on the main stat, does that increase explosion damage as well, or is explosion damage its own thing? Because according to the wiki, like at level 10, level 13, if you get her that far, level 10 it does 222 explosion damage, and 13 it does 293. So that extra 200 um at max level gives it almost 500% explosion damage. That's actually pretty good considering how hard you have to work for it. But keep in mind, this synergizes really well with her fourth constellation, or yeah, this one, which gives her two puppets. So you have two puppets, assuming this is all max leveled, two puppets, level 13, that deal 500% almost explosion damage when you detonate them. That's actually pretty insane nuke damage. And yeah, it actually gives her like a different sort of playstyle to Ganyu, because I know obviously everyone compares it to Ganyu because they have similar kits, right? So I do like this bunny build, bunny bomb build, if you whatever you want to call it, thing she's got going on. But again, I can't try it because constellations are so fucking hard to get for her. Um and yeah, it's just not something I get to actually play around and mess with unless I decide to whale. Alright, moving on into her last constellation is Wildfire. So usually you'd expect a level 6 constellation to be something game breaking, amazing, but all we get here is Fiery Rain will increase, it's a party wide buff that increases movement speed and attack damage by 15% for both for 10 seconds. That's not really impactful. Like, it's an okay buff. Honestly, this should be an ascension talent that she gets while she's leveling up. Thanks for the maintenance notice there, Genshin. Appreciate it. Anyways, this is actually really disappointing. This does not that much. Honestly, I would want to change this constellation, the whole thing, if possible. But if you wanted just to like keep it the same but change some stuff around, I would make Fiery Rain instead of movement speed, maybe increase charge attack time, because her whole kit revolves around charge shots. You get more damage when you hit a charge shot that's on a weak spot. You get more the bunnies detonate right with a fully charge shot. So increasing attack speed for everyone, or and her aiming charge time would actually be a way better buff in my opinion than the movement speed. Um the attack is okay. I'd probably, instead of the attack though, I would actually prefer a second charge to Wildfire. That would actually be much more powerful. You could have two of these. Imagine having two Fiery Rains on top of each other. Each one does 18 hits, so you would do 36 hits of Fiery Rain damage. That would be a shit ton of Pyro status, by the way. So if you're using her as a support and you swap to another DPS for those elemental reaction damage, that would be huge. Um, but yeah, overall, this is a really, really disappointing constellation, especially for a C6. This should even be like a C1, I guess. C1 or a talent she learns, because this is really disappointing. But yeah, those are our constellations. If you guys never looked at them, they're really oddly specific and very disappointing in terms of the numbers. Like, I know I said earlier in the video that like her numbers are fine, but like that's because she is pyro, which is one of the best elements in the game. Archers have really great weapons to choose from, like the ammo 5-star bow, but she can also really benefit from the prototype weapon that you can craft for bow characters at the forge. And of course, artifacts. Artifacts are always solid. She can use Wanderer's Troop. She can use the Crimson, Witch Crimson set, and all be fine for Amber. So yeah, that's why despite these low numbers and disappointing numbers on some of uh her constellations here, she's still able to be a really solid DPS if you invest in her. So the third way I would buff Amber. Are you okay, Amber? The third way we buff Amber is her elemental burst itself, because I know we're comparing a 4-star to a 5-star here, but here's her ult, and that's with the AoE increase. Here's Ganyu's ult. No AoE increase. This is C0. Look at the area coverage, and it lasts longer. The only reason there was still fire there was because of the grass. It's still going. So yeah, that's something I would want to change. But the problem I have with just saying just make the AoE bigger forehead is because it would just make Amber more of a Ganyu, or you know, they'd just be like two of the same characters, and that's not something I want. You know, I don't want Amber to be, oh, it's Ganyu but fire, or Ganyu is just Amber but ice and does more damage. That's not interesting to me. What I would want to do is completely change her her elemental burst. So instead of it being a big AoE, or sorry, just an AoE, I don't think it's a big AoE. Instead, her ult should be, she shoots multiple arrows like a shotgun, like split arrows, and you aim it like this, and she shoots multiple of them. That way, she's still covering an AoE, but she's still getting the benefit of her aim charged shots. So you could do something like, let's say you throw out your bunnies. Let's imagine I have 2. I threw out my 2 bunnies. I ult, and now I have multiple charged attacks in an AoE, and I'm able to detonate all of the bunnies in one shot. I'm able to cover more area, like more enemies, and she's doing more damage. This would separate her a lot from Ganyu and make her a much more interesting character to use. I have like a clip somewhere that I'm probably showing or showed to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about, because I know that's hard to, it's hard to just talk about and not have a visual aid for it, but hopefully that helps trying to explain what I mean for her alt rework. And yeah, I think that's pretty much how I would buff Amber, at least in my opinion. So to summarize, make it easier to get her constellations. Like Mihoyo, it's okay to have the free characters in a limited banner. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna complain that much. I wouldn't complain if Amber, Kea, or Lisa are on a limited banner. Be nice to get their constellations, because I'd actually get to use them. Of course, I'm gonna stick with the characters that I have 6 constellations with, because they already off the bat have more buffs than someone who's not constellated, right? But yeah, I would like to buff her constellations, if anything, because that's where the majority of her power comes from, and a lot of them are very lackluster. We talked about C1 needing more damage, and C6 being really, really disappointing considering how hard it is to C6 her in the first place. So the value of it doesn't match how hard it is to obtain it, is basically the point. And third, make her elemental burst something different, something unique, something impactful, and that fits with her kit. Since she's all about aim charge shots, I thought it would be cool to have her have like a split arrow sort of shotgun blast. But yeah, that's how I would buff Amber if I was a dev for Mihoyo. How would you guys buff her if you had the chance? How would you guys buff her if you have any ideas on that? Leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah.